when I was trying to come up with a theme, with an idea, even for this theme, Imagine, I found myself staring at my laptop screen, staring at a blank Word document with the cursor flashing. I felt as though the cursor was taunting me, reminding me that I was clueless, reminding me that I didn't have any ideas. Then it hit me. Imagine the world without any ideas. A world where we are never moving forward and just staying still. A world with nothing. No technology, no education, no jobs, no housing, no indoor plumbing, which I couldn't live without. Nothing at all. No ideas to bring us forward into the 21st century. Imagine the world without ideas. Have you ever experienced that eureka moment when everything feels exciting and new? When an idea is fresh in your head and everything feels clearer? That eureka moment with an idea brings about a sense of clarity, a feeling of excitement and a rush of adrenaline. But that feeling doesn't last long, as when you try and develop your idea further, you lose that sense of clarity. You become fuddled. You find yourself becoming stressed. An idea is a stressful work in progress which has the ability to make you believe that your idea is worthless, which only makes that process harder. You will want to give up. You will fail and fail again until you get it right. You will want to say that your idea was just an idea, nothing more, nothing less. But that isn't true. Your idea is amazing. And you must remember that the word fail just stands for first attempt in learning. My story begins 6 years ago in 2015 when I was just a first year, no shorter than I am now actually. Myself, alongside the rest of the Year 8 students, had to write a story for Halloween, and how apt is it that I am talking to you about this now when Halloween is fast approaching. Our stories had to be scary stories, as they were to not only be marked as part of a Halloween assessment, but they were also to be 2 stories selected from each English class to take part in the Halloween writing competition. And I really wanted to be part of that competition, so I decided I would write a story so brilliant, so frightening, well, frightening to that of an 11-year-old, that I would be selected to take part in the competition. I pressed my pen to my paper and all that I got was a bin full of crumpled ideas. I found myself scared. I had no ideas. I couldn't come up with any ideas, or at least any good ones. They were all too pathetic, too cliched, so drab and uninspired. First it was the thing under the bed. Then it lives in the wardrobe, which was followed by detention. I had rewritten every idea again and again, but I hated them all, which reflected greatly in my writing. At that point, I had practically given up and handed in the first draft of the thing under the bed, which was roughly a page and a half long. At that point, I didn't care anymore. I had no willpower, nor did I have the desire to write. And the way in which I felt about Halloween began to change immensely. I went from, look at these decorations, they are so amazing, to a pumpkin, oh, haven't seen that done before. I began to hate the very thing I loved the most. My mum saw that I was down, that I wasn't as enthusiastic about Halloween anymore. She noticed that I had stopped mentioning the competition. What I was once so excited for, I suddenly couldn't care less about. So she decided to cheer me up. She quite literally dragged me up the town to look at decorations, to look at Halloween costumes. But her attempts to cheer me up failed. Even though we left the town that night with bags filled with decorations and my costume, her attempts to cheer me up didn't work. That night, as the bus we were taking home drove past the cinema, I saw a poster that went on to haunt my dreams that night and the next. It was massive, brightly lit and red, but its main feature was a terrifying doll with blood dripping down its face and its chin. I was terrified, to say the least. That night, as I slept, the doll haunted my dreams, and I couldn't escape it. It became a frightening, intrusive thought. Then, it was time for English once more. Our stories were handed back to us, and mine, of course, had the most annotations, with a comment at the end in messy red writing which simply stated, "No effort." That comment fueled a fire in my mind. I was angry, and I knew I could do better. I wanted to do better. I found that I didn't want to give up. I pressed my pen to the paper and began to rewrite the thing under the bed, only to find the thing under the bed was being replaced by that doll. I tried to clear my mind of her, but I couldn't. At the thought of her, I wanted to cry. I was scared. I was scared. And I did say that my story should be something frightening to that of an 11-year-old. I was 11. I was scared, and I was scared of a porcelain doll. 11, scared, porcelain doll. Eureka, an idea. From that point on, I couldn't stop writing, and I didn't stop writing until I had 5 pages filled of horror. I gave my story to my English teacher, and I waited. Then the day before the competition was to take place, she announced who would be taking part of the competition from our class, another girl and myself. I had never felt happier. All my hard work had paid off, my writing, my rewriting, the editing, and how many times it took to get all the ink off of my hands. They looked like prunes by the end of it. All that work had paid off. Then the next morning, I presented my story to a panel of judges and was told we'd have to wait until the Halloween disco that afternoon to find out who had won first, second, and third place. So as everyone danced to the usual seasonal Halloween songs, the judges appeared on stage. They announced second and third. And in that moment, I felt as though I had lost. I believed that everything was all for naught. My idea was all for naught. And then there came a pause, followed by the announcement of my name for first place. I felt a sense of relief and pride wash over me. I had won. My story, my idea had won. And I'll tell you something, that box of chocolates I received as my first place prize didn't last very long. After that, I became known all around my school for my writing. I was asked to write stories, speeches, and even speak at school events. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for that story, if it weren't for that idea, I wouldn't be here before you all today presenting my talk. I'd probably still be in school, huddled over my laptop doing more research than I can count. I wouldn't be here. And imagine if I had given up. What would have happened? And imagine if James Dyson, or the 5 years and 5,000 models it took him to create his vacuum, if he had given up, we wouldn't know who he is. He wouldn't be anyone practically. He'd be James Dyson. We just wouldn't know who he is. But during the age of time, when it was business on top and pajamas on the bottom, so almost 2 years ago now, at the very beginning of the first lockdown, ideas were constantly circling all around us. They helped us develop online education with Teams and Google Classroom. I don't know about any of you, but I suffered immensely from Teams fatigue. It was horrible. Ideas continue to circle us, and if it weren't for those ideas during the beginning of the pandemic, we'd still be stuck indoors, staring blankly at the wall, wondering what to do. Ideas are essential to life. They keep us moving forward. If it weren't for ideas, we wouldn't have technology. We wouldn't have our phones and our laptops. And I believe many of us can't live without our phones nowadays. Imagine if we never had those. Ideas keep us moving forward. They're essentially the blood flow of life. They're the beating heart of life. If it weren't for ideas, where would we be? What would we be doing right now? So if you have an idea, do not dismiss it. Keep it, nurture it, and let it grow. Develop it and develop it more, regardless of whether or not you believe your idea can change the world. But your idea does have the ability to make a difference. Your idea can make a difference. And big or small, there's a difference that only you can make, that only you are capable of making. So make that difference. Keep your idea and develop it more. Keep thinking up new ideas and then develop them some more. Do not let this world go without any of your ideas. Thank you.